welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Pisces, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of June 2023. I hope you're well. I'm using the Sun Tarot for you today. Just before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That's the first link in the description box. Second link in the description box is to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, over on Circle. You can get access to all the extended content for no extra cost and hang out with some extraordinary people, and I really do mean extraordinary people. And we're setting up classes and all sorts of things over there. So if that's something that sounds of interest to you, avail yourself of the second link. Right. Pisces, let's have a look and see what's going on with you. Can I have 3 cards for Pisces, please? Oh, we have the 2 of Wands and the 8 of Swords in your recent past. Let's flip this around so you can see what I'm looking at. Current energy, please, for Pisces. We have the 4 of Swords in reverse and the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. And what's coming towards Pisces, please? The Judgment card. Well, okay. All change, for sure. We have the 4 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, with the Star card sitting beyond it. And let's just get some clarifiers out and see what all this is referring to. Tell me about the 2 of Wands and the 8 of Swords, please. We've got the 10 of Wands. And the Ace of Wands. That's awesome. I like that. Let's get one more for that. And the 8 of Cups. And we've got the 4 of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles. The 3 of Cups. The Ace of Cups. And the Devil. And with that, the Judgment card. We've got the Sun. And we've got the Magician with the Lovers card at the bottom of this deck. Right, it's the strangest thing. When the cards started coming out, what I felt immediately was that a lot of this isn't your issue, Pisces. This 8 of Swords here doesn't feel to me too much to be anything to do with you. This Queen of Pentacles and the Devil doesn't feel like it's too much to do with you. It feels like it's a way of dealing with other people who are exhibiting those traits. I mean, we'll see when we get into what's going on. But it feels more like the potential for a sense of frustration in your dealings with other people, right? We have this 2 of Wands and the 8 of Swords there. And the 2 of Wands is a crossroads energy. That's how we often talk about it, right? It's about the decisions that people make. You make, I make, everyone makes. Sometimes when we arrive at a crossroads and there is a stark choice between going one way or the other, right? We're going left or we're going right. And the 2, which makes it very internal for me, is that which way is it going? You know, where do I want to go? And we sort of we walk through the consequences of following, you know, the left path or the right path, and check out whether, as far as we can work out, this gets us closer to where we want to be over the potential of the other side. But the thing that I've started to feel more often about the 2 of Wands is the little micro decisions that we make 100, 200 times a day that dictate not just how our day is going to go, but the cumulative effect of which has us going in a different direction altogether, which may not be entirely left or entirely right. Okay, so when we think about changing our lives, it's about the big gestures more often than not that we consider. It's not about addressing our habits or addressing, say, even our mindset. Most people want to be able to put some effort in and have an immediate reward, right? That's kind of instant gratification, rather than looking at the way that the little decisions that they make throughout the course of the day are the ones that dictate whether by the end of the day they've got closer to what they want or further away. or whether they've just stood still. And the Eight of Swords talks about mental restriction. An abundance of swords is never a good thing for anyone. Well, that's the first thing to state. You look at the court hierarchy, and they really do only have, one sword each, and it's the sword of truth. It's the Ace of Swords. It's that clarity of thought, the revelation, the epiphany, that sort of thing, right? Once you start getting too many swords, things start to get very messy, very cluttered. And these don't feel like they're your cards. If anything, it feels like this is what you are witnessing about other people. So, we talked in the last few months about how there's been this spectacular glow up for Pisces. Not necessarily that you've changed your hair or, invested in a new wardrobe or anything like that, but you've really stepped into your own power. And I do think that you're kind of looking around, and what you're seeing is so many people who are subject to this kind of Eight of Swords energy. And that possibly in some ways is not an unusual thing for you, Pisces. I mean, your ability to be able to merge with other people means that you've got more insight than most into what's going on in most people's heads. But there's something different about the way that you're experiencing it now. I think this desire to help above all things, right? Certainly above even helping yourself, to be of service, to be there for people, is something that has slowly closed down in favour of a far more, dare I say it, almost targeted approach, right? So we're getting very discerning about the people that we spend time with. You're getting very discerning about the people with whom you allow your energy to merge. But you're also in this position now where you've been able to sort of come away and turn 90 degrees and look back at everybody else. And this, I do believe that this is very closely related to this sense of self that you have been working so hard to develop. It's given you an insight. And, whilst all feelings may be valid, and I think that's a fair thing to say, it doesn't mean that they're right. And I think this is a really important point that gets glossed over a lot, actually, in modern life. Yeah? Yes, your feelings are valid. It's totally valid that you're having those feelings. But is what you are basing those feelings on, the factual information, the way that you understand reality, the way that your life was, is it legitimate to have those feelings? Is there a legitimate basis for those feelings? Or is it... Is it a result of the tiny decisions that a person makes every single day and fails to see how the way that they think about stuff is what is keeping them stuck, is what is keeping them trapped? Because that's the other thing that the Eight of Swords talks about. Now, in some ways, it seems to me like it's easier for you than it ever has been at any other point in your life to be able to see that. And I think actually you've always been able to see it, but what you've done is just supported regardless. You've just been there anyway and been like, well, yeah, I support you, whatever. And quite likely you haven't ever felt the need to point these things out to other people. But there's something different about the way that it's happening here now. It feels like it's kind of bringing you down a little bit. It feels like it's making the world feel like it's a little bit more difficult to navigate than it should be. And it's not simply because you see the answer and the answer is kind of staring in front of you. It's because there's a kind of frustration with how easy it would be for other people to fix the things that ail them. But instead, what you're seeing is people who prefer to be propped up. What we're dealing with, actually, is a demonstration of a lack of personal responsibility. And I think that that's really important to you because you have worked so hard on bringing this into your life. And it's frustrating and it's starting to feel burdensome, We've got this Ace of Wands here, and I love the fact that these two have come out that way around because, you've worked so hard to change your experience. And it's not been easy. It's not been easy at all. You know, you've had to put up boundaries where there were none before. You've had to learn to value yourself in a way that you had not done before. You've put in the fucking work, and you are reaping the benefits of it. And you're certainly in a state of attempting to change everything about your experience of reality. And yet there are these people who are just kind of walking around and bumping into the same fucking problems all the time, and then complaining about the same fucking problems all the time. And, you know, maybe you just supported them initially, and then maybe it graduated to a little bit of, you know, very, very gentle advice. Have you considered maybe this? And it's getting to the point now where it feels to me, Pisces, that your patience is actually kind of running a little bit thin on this one. You are literally the embodiment of the advice that you are giving. Like, you've done these things for yourself. It's worked for you. You feel a million times better. You feel incredibly powerful compared to how you have felt in the last few years. And maybe it's society generally. I mean, maybe this isn't individual people. Maybe this is the myopia of society, myopia of your culture. And you're like, fuck. Like, if everybody just sorted themselves out, this would all be great. You know, I could freely move in the way that I want to be able to move, you know, amongst the energy of people without picking up all of this dross. Like, I do feel like some of you need to invest a bit of time in spiritual protection of some sort right now. So there's the obvious ways of doing that. You can get yourself a nice shiny little stone. Never really been a crystals person, to be honest. As I understand it, you kind of either go tarot or crystals, and then you know, spend everything that you earn on accumulating a collection of those things. And for me, it's been tarot for sure. I have a few little things. I've got this little stack of selenite and stuff like that. But I did have a little dog made of onyx, which I actually used to carry around in my bra until I lost him. I don't know where he went. Occasionally used to fly out of my my sports bra when I was in the gym. I'd forget that it was there, and then I'd end up with like a dog-shaped fucking imprint in my boob. Somebody kicked me or something like that. Anyway, I digress. Crystals and that sort of thing, you know, if that's your bag, that's a useful thing. For others of you, I think it could be really powerful to bring in some sort of visualization, you know, the encapsulating egg or the umbrella that's holding off all of the rain, that kind of thing. But for others of you, it could be a far more practical thing, you know, like pay attention to your social media consumption. What are you passively intaking every single day? What are you listening to on the radio? What are you listening to on the television? You know, are you doom scrolling? I know a lot of people are doom scrolling, and have been for a little while. I've been guilty of it myself at times too. But pay attention to what is permeating your energy, and take some steps to start more actively managing that. Now, it might be that you need to take a social media break. Maybe you need to come off Instagram for a bit, or you need to come off Facebook, or whatever it is that you're on. You know, I certainly get this sense that you kind of need to be a little bit more discerning, a little bit more filtering about what is just kind of drifting across your mental space, your emotional space. And put up some boundaries there too, because you're very much in the business of the Ace of Wands. Right? We've seen this for months actually, and I don't think it's been in just one area of your life. I feel like it's actually been spreading to lots and lots of areas of your life. And just like when we start this, you know, kind of process of self-work or anything like that, right? The insights that we get immediately are the big ones. They're the huge revelations, and we're like, oh my God, everything's changed in my head. My internal narrative is completely different now, right? I understand myself in a way that I did not before. But the finer the work becomes, and the more time you spend, you know, trying to get down to the nuances of different situations, the less huge and revelatory these things are, the less they change, you know, as overtly the face of your landscape. So we have to start looking at the things that are a little bit more nuanced. And social media is a huge one like that. Like, be very, very wary of what you are allowing to enter into your energy, right? It's fine work. Because we've got the Eight of Cups there, and I really do feel that a lot of you are coming to the point where there's a realization that you can't support everyone. You certainly can't save everyone, but I don't think you're really in the business of trying to save people. I think it's more like being that supportive, enigmatic supportive force that you always have been. It's kind of looking around at it and going, well, I don't really want to be judgmental, but the extent to which you are repeating the same fucking mistakes over and over again, regardless of any kind of support or well-meaning, advice or any of these things, is starting to weigh me down, and I need to make a decision about what is right for me, because it's just starting to take its toll on who I am. So get picky, get choosy, and be very, very careful about falling into the dopamine hits, the easy dopamine hits of scrolling on social media or whatnot. It's like, take a really, really discerning eye to everything that you do day to day. Even if it's just having the radio on in the background or the TV on in the background when you're doing things. I mean, you may not be consciously paying attention to it, but your subconscious is sucking all of that in. And if it's having an effect on you somewhere, which it will be doing, the only way to really resolve that is to consciously bring your attention to each aspect of what is going on in the background, and make decisions accordingly. Because we've got double eights here, right? There's a question of power. There's always a question of power when it comes to 8. Is what you are doing empowering yourself, or is it not? Much like I was talking about with the Two of Wands there, right? Every decision that you make either gets you... I read a summary of a self-help book over the weekend. I think you can probably tell because of what I'm just about to come out with. But it was useful. And it was taking this very kind of strict approach. And it said that every decision you make either brings you closer to your goal or it takes you further away, because it's not taking you closer to your goal, right? Look at everything. And is this thing giving you power, or is it sapping your power away from you? And this has to be an important consideration for you, Pisces, because you have newly discovered your power. And that means likely, possibly, that there are energy leaks, right? The bucket is not quite as sealed as we would like it to be. And it's important for you, as you are on this path and continuing to kind of be spiritually leading the way. I've talked about this quite a bit over the last few months, that you are not becoming complacent, right? You're checking that bucket regularly and making sure that there are no little holes breaking through. It's not getting thin somewhere, and take action accordingly, When we move into your current energy, we've got the Four of Swords and we've got the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. And I do feel like some of you have been sucked into a situation that is not, for some reason, for your highest good. Whenever the Queen of Pentacles shows up, who's a Capricorn card for me, there are notions of self-care and nurturing and self-worth and all that sort of thing, right? The attention that we put on ourselves, necessarily, it's not selfish. It's about looking after yourself. And she's here in the reverse, which means somewhere along the way, something's happened that's kind of knocked your focus a little bit. And I feel there's a potential that you've been sucked into somebody else's drama, or that there is a sense that everything around you is trying to suck you into somebody else's drama, whether it's people you know or whether it's crap on the internet. I mean, a really good example has been the fucking problem with the scammers that operate on Instagram, and it's bizarre, but I can absolutely nail it onto Mercury retrograde every Mercury retrograde, there's this huge fucking spike. And despite not wanting to have to deal with it, it needs to be addressed, because every Mercury retrograde, I get a ton of people getting in touch and saying somebody's impersonating you, and I'm like, right, okay, that's fair, right? I need to know that. But then there are also a handful of people who say, did you just message me? I just want to check before I send you the money that you asked for. And I'm like, I did not message you. I did not do that thing, right? So I'm having to address this thing, kind of being sucked into this social media drama that is not of my creation, and it actually isn't of the creation of the people who are also being affected by it. Like, it's the scammers. I'm having to give them the attention, even though we don't want to. And so I've been trying to do it sort of sideways and go, here's a picture of a cool thing. Also, just be aware that this is my practice on Instagram, right? I don't send you messages, I don't follow new people, I don't do all of these things, because scammers are bastards and we don't want to do that, right? It's like, even though I've tried to manage it properly, I'm still kind of being sucked into it. It's still playing on my mind. It's still something that I'm thinking about, and I've tried to turn that into a positive experience, but nevertheless the oxygen of attention has been given to that thing, and it's taken my mind off other things that I could have been doing instead. And that feels to me very much like the Queen of Pentacles there in reverse. But the Four of Swords is taking a break. It's taking a step back, right? It's creating that kind of detachment that we need when we are healing from something, right? Bear in mind that it follows on from the Three of Swords. But the fact that it's come up in the reverse would be then, you know, some aspect of the opposite of that. It would be not taking a break, not taking a step back, not allowing that detached distance to occur that allows you to focus on yourself rather than everything around you. In fact, what we've got is somebody who is increasingly drawn into something rather than increasingly pulling away from something. Now, I've used the example of social media, but really this could be happening in all sorts of ways. It could be a work drama, it could be, you know, just your friendship group, it could be some family stuff kicking off. I mean, we're in a very karmic time at the moment. You know, at the point that I'm recording this, that grand fixed cross in the sky is still in a state of exactitude, I believe. And it is testing us. It's testing everyone, and it's certainly giving us this point of tension where all the bits of us are trying to pull off in different directions. And the problem with that is you end up very thin in the middle. And where you're thin in the middle, you're vulnerable, because the middle is you. And this is what your middle looks like at the moment, Pisces. And we see here, you know, we've got the Three of Cups, we've got the Ace of Cups, and we've got the Devil. Now, Three of Cups is a wonderful card. It talks about, for me, it talks about emotional support networks and that sort of thing. But it really is just people who are around you at any given point, right? We tend to interpret it in the more positive way of emotional support networks, rather than just the noise, you know, which sometimes, you know, lots of people can be. And it's here with the Ace of Cups, which is an absolutely beautiful card. But I really do feel like your energy is going on trying to help other people develop this Ace of Cups for themselves. And on some level, you've kind of taken your eye off the ball of you. Because the Devil is here, sort of cackling in some sort of, you know... I don't even know what that creature, what noise that creature would make. You know, there would probably be like Dave Grohl in the. Is it Dave Grohl? Oh yeah, I was conflating two different things. I was going to say Dave Grohl in the Bill and Ted films, but of course that wasn't it at all. It was in the Tenacious D video. Anyway. I digress again, I'm drifting. The Devil has no power of his own, and he always finds a back door, right? That's how the Devil works. He cannot come and confront you directly, if you have no fear and you have no no point of vulnerability, then the devil has no power, because you are not handing it over. You're like, fuck off, like, nice to see you, devil, and all that sort of thing, but off you totter. The way that the devil inveigles his way into your existence is on the doors that are unattended, right? On the entrances that are unattended. It kind of just wanders in and starts having a little look around. Where are you distracted? And then he sits there. And the more that you're distracted, the more that you are absently handing your power over to the devil, right? And it creates an issue. The Eight of Swords and the devil share that similarity in their interpretation, in so much as they speak about being trapped. Now, this is about being trapped specifically by your own mind, but this is about being trapped in a far more kind of insidious way, frankly. And in both instances, it's really quite difficult to know that the originating point of the feeling trapped is actually within you, rather than the circumstances that you find yourself in. Now, whereas this Eight of Swords seems to be more relevant to the people that are surrounding you at this point, the devil's kind of creeping in the back door here with you. And I think it's really, really important that we go, with, I don't know, a baseball bat or something, and just be like, get the fuck out, and then shut the door. Because where you are distracted by other people, whether it is because you're trying to help other people, because they're friends, or maybe it's even for some of you like professional clients, right? That you are a professional, you have clients. There's a question of spiritual hygiene that's going on here really, really strongly. And it's saying, you can do all of these things, but the more that you do, the more you have to pay attention to your spiritual hygiene. Actually, the more attention you have to give to yourself and your self-care regimen, whatever that looks like. Because it's in the drifting, it's in the complacency, it's in the taking your eye off that particular door over there that has the devil finding his route in. And it doesn't matter how honourable your intentions are. What's that old saying? That the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Well, that's exactly what that is there. The bigger lesson that you have learned about self, right? This incredible body of work that you have done on yourself to experience yourself is insufficient, right? You've put loads and loads of work into it, but that was just in the creation of a space where self could be experienced. There needs to be more consistent maintenance on that space. That's a lifelong thing. Boundaries are probably a huge thing, I would imagine, at the moment for you. So they need to be attended to. But there's also the possibility, again, with the fine work, that we put up a certain amount of defences and we say, right, self exists here, everybody else exists outside of there, until such point as I allow things through and whatnot. And what you don't notice is that there's a hole that's built up, or there's a door that's open, a wall that is unfinished in some sort of way. This process of checking in with yourself, this process of checking the boundaries, the walls, needs to be a consistent thing. Oh, fuck. It's putting me in mind of a book called... what's it called? I can't remember. It's by Stephen Donaldson. It's a series of books. I'm sure I've talked about this before, actually. The name of the book completely eludes me, even though I can literally see it in my head, and I can see his name down the spine. It's just a white fuzzy line where the title is. And the book starts out with the protagonist doing this... he has a particular phrase for it, but it's like a visual check of his body. It turns out because he's got leprosy. And I thought in leprosy, right, just bits of your body just spontaneously started rotting and falling off. But that's not actually quite how it works. What leprosy does is it kind of eats away at your, I believe, eats away at your nerves, right? So you don't have sensation in all the different parts of your body. And this visual check that he was doing was because he didn't have the pain that was the warning signal that he had just in some way injured himself. He'd just cut his leg, or you know, something like that. Even just a little nick with a vegetable knife while you're cutting your food. These are really, really dangerous because unattended, they allow bacteria to get in, and they allow, shit gets necrotic very fucking fast. And that's how the whole process of bits of you falling off with leprosy happens. So this bloke's doing this visual check every time he's moving around, and it's just an automatic sweep. He has to check his entire body to make sure, when he just bumped into the kitchen table, that he didn't do something that is going to leave an open wound, which is going to allow bacteria in, right? And I'm kind of being put in mind of a similar sort of thing here for you, Pisces. This sweep that you do needs to be absolutely automatic, right? And you need to be paying attention, because where there's an open wound, if you want to use that example, or an open door or something, right? Shit can get in. And it will always be trying to get in. There's no point at which where you could have put everything up so fucking well that there isn't a vulnerability somewhere. Because the devil is always there, pushing, checking, looking for somewhere where the integrity of what you have built is not quite as strong. What's the word that I'm looking for? Help me out here. Oh no, strong will do. As it could be. And sometimes just with repeated pressing on a little bit of mortar over there, right? We'll start pushing it out. And then if that's out, then we can kind of get the brick out, and before you know it, he's in again. Spiritual hygiene. Really, really important. And, the brighter you shine spiritually, the more this kind of work that you do spiritually, the more of a kind of light that you're sending out into the world. The more you tend to attract this kind of energy that's looking for a route in. Now I'm talking in quite metaphorical terms, and I am talking in quite generalized terms, but the devil can be something that is going on in the back of your mind that takes root, right? Where doubt starts creeping in, or any one of a number of things, right? Just even energy drains. Or it can be that same person that comes back over and over and over again with the same fucking bullshit, who doesn't learn. And you give your energy each time, right? It's the same thing. It ends up just being an energy drain. So when we get into June, it's about decisions that need to be made. Right? The Judgment card has actually come up for quite a few signs that I've read for this month already. It seems like, although May was considered to be astrologically the busiest month of the year, certainly a lot going on. For me, it's starting to look like June is the one where the consequences of what we experienced in May is now starting to be put into, we're dealing with it, right? And we're making big changes as a result. I've drawn correlations with ayahuasca. Like I did a ceremony last year when I was in Mexico. And, you hear a lot about how it's life-changing. But that life-changing stuff doesn't happen when you're sat in the jungle tripping your box off. Like, it comes afterwards. It's the assimilation of everything that you have been shown. It's the assimilation of everything that you kind of worked out while you were tripping your box off. It's not like instant ascension or anything like that. It's kind of you go away and you start processing these things. You start assimilating all this stuff. And then you go, I'm going to make some changes. And you're actually motivated to do it. That's the Judgment card for me. And that feels like what June is for most people too. Because we've got the Sun and we've got the Magician. powerful pairing there, because we've got joy, we've got positivity, we've got the ability to be vulnerable but also protected, which I think is a really strong message when we see the sun. You know, the child here, even on the white horse, right, the symbols of innocence, the symbols of openness and vulnerability and all that sort of thing, but it is overseen by the sun. More importantly, I think, is that the sun represents consciousness to me. Right? So it's conscious decision making. None of this kind of like backdoor stuff where, because our conscious mind is distracted by other things, shit can creep in. This is kind of like sweeping the area by the light of day to check the integrity of everything that you have built. But this conscious intent is super, super important when we've got the Magician here too. So, you know, back to this idea of spiritual hygiene in whatever way that applies to you. Social media, people, whatever. But we also have conscious intent being applied to the situation. And the Magician needs that. Like, he's got all of the elements on the table here, and they are really important, right? So we've got the Ace of Pentacles and Cups and Swords and Wands and all that sort of thing. But the magic happens when the power that those aces hold is combined with the conscious will, the conscious intent of the Magician. It feels like you're kind of pulling it all back, Pisces. And this is really important. It's really, really important. There's no failure as such in realizing that there are gaps in your spiritual defenses, that there are, you know, the places where the devil's been able to creep in. Unless you fail to become aware of it at any point, or having become aware of it, you do nothing to rectify it. Well, this is rectification, for sure. Like I said, June feels to me like it's a point where everybody is putting into practice things that they have been exposed to during May. Whether it was from Mercury retrograde, and whether it was from the lunar eclipse, and that was a big one for everyone. It was dredging up shit from God knows fucking where, right? To be released. I mean, even the solar eclipse back in April, like, all of these things are working in tandem to show you a particular thing. To make you more powerful, for sure, because Pluto's been in the mix fucking everywhere. Yeah, like I said, and maybe it's the grand fixed cross, maybe it's the effect of that, maybe it's Jupiter moving into Taurus, right? And it's like, actually, I want to make myself a more prosperous, more abundant, more focused, more solid version of myself than I ever have been before. I mean, I'm just throwing things up here. Any one of a number of things could be what was playing on you in May, or it could be literally everything. The totality of that experience in May has you in June going like, what can I do for my highest good? What do I want to manifest? What is the kind of life that I want to live for myself? And if I pull you back to this Two of Wands here, it isn't necessarily sitting there and going like, right, I am going to change my life, even though the Judgment card would speak to an aspect of that kind of energy, that kind of big energy. It's about looking at everything that you do in the day-to-day and saying, like, where do my micro habits lead me to? If you look at your day and 90% of the things that you do in any given day do not help you get towards your goal, whatever that goal may be, then really only 10% of anything that you do in a given day is taking you anywhere. Now, like, it's going to be difficult to push it up to 100%. Like, nobody's got that kind of level of focus. It's certainly not me either. But a few little tweaks here and there, particularly with regard to your spiritual protection, definitely with regard to your spiritual hygiene generally, could make a big sort of difference. Let me tell you how this here. Because the Judgment card is about rebirth. And what we've got here is rebirth of a very powerful kind. There's the Magician. There's the access to your ability to be able to manifest. We've got the Lovers, where we clarify further. to accompany the lovers that we already have here. Oh, look at that, Pisces. You've got the High Priestess underneath there too, right? So there you are, showing up very strongly indeed. This is about the exercise of free will. It is the opposite card to the Devil. And the Devil is the illusion of free will, but it is also the illusion of a lack of free will. It's being dragged along by circumstances without feeling like you are in any way able to do anything about it. I mean, it's two naked dudes here, dude and dudette or whatever. Right? They're chained by the neck. Like, holy crap, that's not cool. That's not comfortable. But look more closely. I mean, they could literally pull those off straight over the head. There we go. But they have to want to do it. They have to believe that they are able to do it. And in this instance, they don't. They believe that they don't have a choice. What these cards are saying here is that you have choices right, left and centre, everywhere. The exercise of your free will essentially covers every single aspect of your life. And where you may be losing the ability to exercise your free will is in the places where you are complacent, right? The places where you possibly are doing things on autopilot, maybe where you are, you know, resorting to some sort of default behaviours. Social media, the internet generally, right? Particular friends over and over again who are coming back with the same bullshit. There's a truth here, there's a realisation. That's the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck there. And what was I talking about at the beginning about an overabundance of swords? You only need one. Everyone the world over, whether you're an air sign or not, the only thing that you need is the Ace of Swords, just the one. It's clarity, it's truth, it's the ability to think things through properly. You know, it's the ability to be able to create sense where there actually hasn't been, right? And there hasn't been because some aspect of your subconscious has been off doing something else. To open the door for the Devil. It's like, bring the conscious mind all back together and look at everything. And you're like, where am I not being given an opportunity? Where am I not allowing myself the opportunity to exercise my free will? Because it's coming in hot in June. Really, really hot. It's there twice. These are cards of manifestation. You want something. You want a particular version of your life that you want to live. How are you bringing it about? And how are you allowing yourself to be consumed by things that are distracting, deliberately distracting? I have to point that out. They are deliberately distracting. They are taking your eye away from what it is that you need to be doing. Certainly taking your eye off you. And June is about bringing the eye back in the strongest possible terms. Rebirth, yes, for sure. Life-changing decisions, actually, yes, Pisces. But they don't have to be the big decisions. It's not, I'm going to emigrate. It's not, I've decided I'm going to have children. Right? It doesn't have to be those. It can simply be, I'm going to delete Twitter off my phone. I'm going to delete Instagram off my phone. Right? If I want to look at these things, I actually have to literally sit at the laptop and bring them up that way. No, I'm going to just make it just a little less convenient for me to be sucked into things. Will it work 100% of the time? No. But if we're much more mindful about what is taking our attention up, then actually we become much more disciplined about it. And so what it is that you want to manifest suddenly has much more space to operate within. You can take that conscious mind and you can start focusing it on what you actually want rather than all of this that feels like absolute fucking dross to you at the moment. This is really interesting because it's like this, you know, card here, the Four of Pentacles and the Star. And the Four of Pentacles, it's a foundational level card, and it's like, what is important to you? What are you holding on to? What could you release? The Four of Pentacles sometimes talks about the need to release things. It's like you're holding on to too hard to stuff. That's what that card talks about. But conversely, it can also say what is so important to you that it actually requires your attention. Well, I would say yourself is definitely that. But more than that, what are your highest hopes, dreams, goals, aspirations? And are the decisions that you're making in the day-to-day actually taking you closer to that, or are they taking you away? Because what's going on here is not conscious. It's kind of insidious. It's happening in the background because your conscious mind is on other things. The effect here of this is unconscious. But particularly for a sign like you, Pisces, that's where it has the most effect, I would say. June's all about changing everything and getting very much more conscious, very much more mindful about what you ingest, what you intake. I mean, for some of you, okay, thank you. For some of you, it is literally the food that you're eating. Some of you are having massive histamine reactions to foods and you haven't even put it down to that. Right? Itchy head, itchy skin, lack of energy, feeling tired all the time. For some of you, it's down to what you're eating. And because you're doing it on autopilot, you're not really thinking about it. Devil creeps in that way. Because when you're tired, you can't keep up those defences as well as you did before. I mean, there's no aspect of your life here, Pisces, that benefits from you doing it on autopilot. And I've said this to a few signs this month, interestingly enough. June is a month for scrutinising everything. Take everything off autopilot, at least temporarily, and examine it and work out whether what is going on here is actually for your highest good. The food that you eat, the media that you consume, the people that you talk to, how much exercise you do, whether you do any at all, whether you actually allow yourself a little bit of daytime to just vibe. Daytime? That's not what I mean. Downtime. There we go. To just vibe. Like some of you know, I've got a little timer here. I give myself 15 minutes of zone time before I do anything at all because I need it. So if I don't have it, with that alarm at the end that says, it's time to do some things now, Carrie, I can sit here for hours and just stare at walls and get lost in my own head. Right? So allowing myself that bit of downtime means that when the alarm goes off, I'm like, right, I'm ready to go. What's next? What do I need to look at next? And so it is with you. Scrutinise everything, Pisces. Don't overthink it. But look at it and see, is it for your highest good? Is this helping or is this taking away? Or is it neutral? Is it doing neither? In which case, why are you doing it in the first place, It's a really powerful month, and I'm going to get into, in the extended, why. Because I feel like there's all sorts of promise in these cards here that we haven't really explored. So if you'd like to come and join me while we do that, you're very welcome to do so, whether that's on Vimeo or on Circle. But if not, no shade. Just be aware, right? Awareness is key this month. Pay attention to everything, even if it is just to, once at the beginning of the month, is this useful to me? Yes, no, maybe, I don't know. And make some sort of decision about it. Move on to the next thing. Because this feels like a scale up in your power, but you need to make sure that you don't have any leaks first. All right, know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.